Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ryan here with Apogee Nova. We wanted to make a quick video to give you a little more insight on our sharing policy. If you're here, you probably either just joined our family or you're interested in joining. Either way, I want to chat with you today about our unique approach to sharing, which is deeply tied to our belief in Stoicism. First off, we believe that virtue is the highest good we can strive for. But what is virtue? Well, much like everything else in the world, it really just depends on who you ask. So why don't we take a look back in time and ask some of the greatest philosophers that we know? So let's imagine you're living in ancient Greece, where philosophers like Aristotle thought a lot about how to be a good person. Virtue, or aret in Greek, was all about being excellent in every part of your life. They believed virtues were habits like courage, honesty, and wisdom that you practiced every day. If you were brave, you wouldn't run away from challenges. If you were wise, you'd make smart choices. Virtues were like superpowers everyone could develop, making you the best version of yourself, not just for yourself, but to help your community flourish. Okay, so now let's switch it up a bit and talk about a philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche. I probably messed that up. Friedrich Nietzsche, who lived much later, he had a different take on virtues. Nietzsche, he thought that traditional virtues like humility or compassion could actually hold people back from being their truest, strongest selves. Instead, he talked about virtues like creativity, passion, and the courage to be different. He believed in creating your own values, living life with intensity, and being unique, not just following what everyone else thinks is good. For Nietzsche, the ultimate virtue was to live life as if you were creating your own story, where you're the hero who defines yourself what is important. Okay, so where do we land here at Apogee Nova? Well, virtue, in the simplest terms, is about embodying qualities that make you a good person within your community. When we talk to our kiddos about sharing, it's seen as a virtue because it reflects kindness, fairness, and respect for others. Our school policy on sharing doesn't force it. We talk about it as an act of choice. It's inspired by the idea that, like in ancient Greece, sharing can be part of living harmoniously with others. Or, as Nietzsche might suggest, it's an expression of personal strength and generosity. But only when chosen freely. So here, we encourage children to share when they feel ready. When they feel ready. They are never encouraged to share just because someone else wants something they have. We believe that if a child is forced to do this, you're well on your way to producing a people pleaser that will grow up unable to know how to set healthy boundaries for themselves. By choosing to share when they are ready, our kiddos are exercising their autonomy to contribute to a supportive environment where everyone can thrive. So, here at Apogee Nova, sharing is not something we force on the kids. Instead, it's something we talk about as a way to grow their character. So as you know, we're all about freedom and sovereignty. So your child has a right to their things, and they are empowered to say no. We teach our kiddos they have control over their thoughts and their actions. It's empowering for them to decide when and how to share, or if they want to share at all. So with that, we talk a lot about emotional resilience. We want our kids to know their happiness doesn't rely on toys or what others say or do, but on how they feel inside, their choices, their thoughts, how they actually view themselves, disconnected from external pressures. So this brings us to prioritizing reason and logic over feelings. We guide kids to know the difference between a fleeting feeling in the moment versus a principle or a value that we've set ahead of time. We teach them how to use their heads when deciding to share, not just their hearts. It's about making thoughtful choices. On the flip side of that, we teach acceptance. Sometimes we just can't control other people's decisions. Like if they don't want to share with us, that's completely okay. That's just part of life. And that's the stance that we take. So, how do we do this? What does it look like day to day? Firstly, no sharing on demand is our mantra. No one's going to make your child share their favorite toy or anything they own if they're not ready. Sharing is strictly a choice they are empowered to make without coercion, especially from us or parents. And that helps reflect free will on their part. We're into rational sharing. We ask, why share? What would be the benefits of sharing? And conversely, the drawbacks if you choose not to share. Maybe it'll help make a friend or build a community if you do choose to share. It's more about understanding the why behind the decision. When there's a conflict over toys, we see that as an opportunity. Conflicts are opportunities. They're chances for us to learn. We don't view a conflict as a problem that needs to be solved by our intervention. We're guides. We help kids practice communicating their thoughts by addressing the issue head on with the intention to understand the other person. We slow things down with them enough so that we can work on patience, communication, understanding each other, and finding a solution together through communication and collaboration. Our intention is not to end the disagreement. Remember, disagreements are opportunities to learn and develop. Our intention is the process. We can't be afraid of disagreements. So, respecting personal boundaries is huge here. So if someone says no to sharing, we learn to respect that, teaching consent and respect. Conversely, when sharing does happen, we celebrate the process, the thought process, not just the act of sharing for the act of sharing. It's about the journey to the decision, highlighting rationality and virtue along the path of the decision. And with that, we keep in mind that sharing is developmental. We adjust our expectations based on where each child is in their journey and their understanding of sharing. So, for our coaches and parents, here at Apogee Nova, we work to model these behaviors, showing what leadership and giving look like by example. And we invite the parents to do the same thing at home. So every sharing moment is a learning experience. We're not just solving problems, but more focused on exploring the problem for the emotional intelligence side of it. We try to encourage critical thinking about sharing. You'll never hear us say, you should share. It's more like, when is it a good time to share? Why is it good to share? And how should we share? Or should I even share at all? These are the questions that we give back to the kids. Sharing here is viewed as a collaboration. It's about working together, learning to negotiate, which is a huge skill set that kids are lacking these days, and knowing that it's okay to say no. Like, again, pushing sharing for the sake of sharing doesn't help our kids. So to recap, voluntary sharing is key. Your child will share when they're ready or when they see the value in it. They have to understand they have autonomy and ownership. When there's a conflict, we mediate, teaching empathy and negotiation. But in the rare case, if we can't help them reach a resolution, then we just remove the scenario or the object of contention from everyone. So we celebrate sharing here, but more for the character growth it signifies than just the act of sharing. And lastly, like I said before, everything we do is developmentally appropriate. We're here to nurture, not push beyond what's right for each child's stage. So our coaches and our guides are keen to observe and understand where they are in their journey. All right, guys. So that's our approach to sharing here at Apogee Nova. It's not just about toys or things. It's about preparing our kids for life with a curious and intentional mindset. absolutely not about one of just following orders for the sake of orders. We tie every lesson to a principle or a philosophy. All right, guys, I hope that helped you out and gave you a little bit of insight in what we do. We want to thank you for being a part of this journey with us, and we hope to see you soon.